Hello everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my video on my cascade trees, or some of my cascade trees. This is a prostate juniper which I've been working on for a few years and I've shown in previous videos. I've been working on trying to make this a little bit lighter and remove some of the hangy down branches, of which it had quite a lot, and just trying to create the pads. With it being a prostate juniper, it tends to throw out a lot more branches downwards than upwards, which is giving me a bit of a struggle, but if it's too easy it's no fun, if it's too hard it's no fun, so hopefully this tree will be somewhere in the middle there. It does need a nicer pot than it's in at the moment, but sometimes you have to work with what you've got. I still can't decide whether I like this as a front, which nicely shows off the trunk structure, or whether I go with something like this, which it's a bit more fluffy, I suppose, and shows more of the branch structure, but does hide the trunk structure a bit. So maybe this will be one of those trees that I set up on a plinth on its own somewhere, so that I can look at it from several different angles. It is getting nice and long at the base, so yeah, when I eventually get round to building my new benches, perhaps a plinth for a single tree, this would look quite nice on, once it's in a better pot. So moving on, we'll look at the other trees. This tree is getting heavy to move around. This big old pot is heavy on its own actually, and then once you've got the weight of all the compost and the tree, it is definitely getting quite heavy. So I just thought, as all I'm going to do is give it a quick trim over, just to bring it back into shape, bring these pads back to reality, as it were, or my perceived reality for this tree. But I'd just do it in situ. Hopefully the background isn't too washed out. I've got a kind of a nursery bed in the back there with just some trees that I'm got in the ground that I'm allowing to grow on, fatten up the trunks, etc. Some ash and some beech and things. Yeah. Do have quite a number of berries on this tree, so I'm going to try and leave those. It always looks nice when it's got the berries on, coloured up red and green. Always makes me think of Christmas. Okay, so that's sort of brought the top. It needs a bit of refining, but that's the sort of thing you don't want to sit and watch for too long. Moving further down the tree, as I say, the cloud pruning technique, I know it seemed to be a lot of people's favourites, but once you've got a tree to this kind of stage, it almost feels a little bit too easy. You can just see the bits that are sticking out from where you want them to be, and prune back to the shape you had. I don't know. Doesn't mean I don't love this tree. I've had this tree a long time. Very fond of it. So yeah, who knows. Anyway, this branch pad here is developing quite nicely. Beginning to get that flat plane. Don't know how well you can see that. Let's bring it down a little. Show you against my hand. This branch is now, I've got rid of all the upwards and downwards facing leaves and shoots. We're beginning to get that horizontal plane, so that branch will fit into this area quite nicely, I think. Stop this from being a long blank piece, and then I've got this shoot here which will hopefully fill out and become eventually a branch in this place. So filling in this empty area. So you keep building and you keep building, and eventually patience is rewarded. I don't know how long I've waited for the tree to try to shoot in this area. They're back bud, but they don't always back bud where you want them to, which of course is kind of a metaphor for life if you think about it. Sometimes it feels like we're living in a generation of I want what I want and I want it now, in terms of everything can be delivered to your door, and everything's only a mouse click away. Sometimes it's nice to have to wait for something, or perhaps I'm just getting old. Okay, so that's about it for this tree. There's the base. Okay, running back up from the base here. Through the various layers. As you can see, lots of berries. I really dislike sacrificing those if I can help it. Even though some of the birds that come and try and take the berries are look out of scale. I don't think we can really blame them for that. So there we go. That's the large Cataniasta. I've had this many years, and it's given me many years of trouble-free growing. So yeah, excellent bonsai material. Okay, had to use the block again for this one. It's just grown great guns. This one is more than happy to extend its growth, and has done so. As I say, a bit neglected because it got a bit hidden amongst the foliage of other trees, but going to work on it now. Basically, we've got a lot of odd bits of here and there which need to come out, so we'll start with those. There's a piece going straight up there, piece on the inside of a curve there, and more pieces on the inside of curves there. So just going to lightly remove those, and then I'm going to shorten and wire this piece. So I'm thinking But let's deal with these parts first. These will make nice branches eventually, but for the time being they're just going to have to be just shortened back to encourage the back budding that we will need to form pads. There. Okay, so, and we'll just lightly nip the top as well, although that's not careering out of bounds yet. Okay, take a piece of wire. I think this is possibly, I think this will do it. It's very flexible. This is our 1mm wire. And trying to avoid the foliage. Making sure I hold the wire as I go down, not the branch. Always a good tip to remember. You'll snap less trees that way. Okay, so I'm going to bring that around and then back, remembering that the bends need to be 3-dimensional and not just 2-dimensional. Okay, and I think that's probably as low as I want to go. I'm going to, let's move the camera slightly so you can see better. I'm going to snip it off here, but I'm thinking that actually the base of the tree will probably be about here, but we'll see what kind of back budding and things we get as it goes along. So that's another tree down. People tell you bonsai is very time consuming, but you can do, you know, a good piece of work that'll set this tree up for the future and in a few minutes. And I'm free. That's one of the dangers with bonsai. I think if I only had 1 or 2 trees I would get bored waiting for them to need something to be done with them. I think one of the reasons I have so many trees is to prevent that boredom. Okay, so the apple, and this one hasn't done very well really. What I've ended up with is quite a lot of growth on top, a fair amount of growth on the bottom, and diddly in the middle here. So all I can do with this one is prune back some of this growth at the top, and I'm going to cut it off at the bottom as well, and hope that that perhaps stimulates some growth in this area. It's a sucker from an apple tree in the garden. It's never shown any signs of wanting to conform in any sort of way to a cascade in its real life, as it were, and it may be that I'm asking the wrong thing of the wrong tree, in which case we may look at developing this as a possibly a semi-cascade in this direction, or maybe just a small clumping apple tree. So okay, that's that one. Okay, the final tree in this little group that I'm going to work on today is this little sort of semi-cascade shrubby honeysuckle, which if you remember in the last video I showed you, I'd had to glue the pot because it had fallen off the bench. Well, the tree has grown vigorously roots wise, so much so that it has actually filled this pot and tore the side out of the glued pot completely, so it's going to have to come out of here somehow. It doesn't particularly want to, I don't think this pot is savable a second time, so look away, this might get a bit ugly. There we go. Okay, now that pot's definitely not savable for a second time. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anything similar to replace it. Although it was a very nice pot, I quite liked it, but accidents happen, as they say. So I'm going to not do too much. It is, after all, the 9th of August, and we're due some hot weather. I'm just going to tear some of these roots a little so that they can get out, and then I'm going to pop it into this pot for the time being. So should be enough, actually. Pop that. It's actually maybe a little bit too much. Do want to leave a space at the top of the pot for watering, and that's better. Make sure it's bedded down in. There's not a lot of space around the side. Not a lot of space around the side of the pot, so I'm going to have to make sure I work this soil in all the way around as best I can. Fortunately, it's a dry mix, so it sort of flows into the gaps and doesn't clog up in the way that a wet mix might. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does. I want to eliminate gaps if I can. Don't want air gaps killing off the roots. I will finish this off camera, otherwise we're going to be here a while. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to do this as a semi-cascade rather than a full cascade, and we had this kind of blob going on at the top here, which I quite liked. So just shortening back a lot of these longer shoots, and then I'm actually going to take it off there, bring that down, and we'll work on developing these into more foliage pads as time goes by. So I gap in there. As I say, I really would appreciate it if you could share my videos in your social media feeds if you on them. Obviously it doesn't matter if you can't, and this strange YouTube algorithm does seem to have affected the number of views I'm getting at the moment, and as far as I understand it, people are getting their notifications turned off. They're being unsubscribed, not just from my channel obviously, but from lots of channels. So check you're subscribed, check that your notification bell is set as you want it to be, and hopefully it'll sort itself out over time. I've got lots more videos to make. I'm going to keep making them even if no one watches, but obviously I prefer it if people did. Thank you all for watching in these trying times. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Stay safe.